in the first game, I believe you were the doctor in the first game, and then you got the call
Yeah.
back, and you mustn't have believed that the role that came out of that, because no one thought anything of that at the time.
Here's the deal.
Yeah.
Here's what this is my story of The Last of Us. And as I said, you guys know, you video game fans out there know that like it takes sometimes 5, 6, 7 years to make these games. I auditioned for The Last of Us, I want to say probably in like 2010. Auditioned for it to play the older brother of
Tommy?
there were two brothers in the game. Very early on, two African American brothers. They weren't African American when I auditioned for the game.
Oh,
Um,
okay, that role. Yeah, yeah.
I can't remember what the character's name is, but I auditioned for that part and originally had gotten that part. And then 6 months went by, and my manager and I were talking, and I was like, "Have we ever heard anything about that Sony game that I auditioned for that I got?" And she was like, "I haven't heard anything. Let me call." We called. They said, "Yep, we still want Derek. He's still a part of it." Blah 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 blah. And then like another 6 months went by. I still hadn't shot anything. Still hadn't done any performance capture on it. Hadn't done anything. So this happened 2 or 3 times that we called them, and they were like, "We still want him. We still want him." And then finally, it was like, the game has actually changed since then. Those characters no longer exist. We still want Derek to be in the game, but we're going to have him come back as something different if he still wants to be a part of it. I just was happy to be a part of the game. At this point in time, you have no clue what this game is going to be.
Did you know it was Naughty Dog?
Yes, I knew it was
Oh,
Naughty Dog.
yeah.
But I had no clue at that point in time. I mean, Naughty Dog wasn't even Naughty Dog at that point in time. I mean, they had Uncharted. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Uncharted. But it wasn't. This is literally 2010,
Yeah.
2011, maybe. I don't think I recorded my stuff for The Last of Us until probably 2012.
Yeah,
And at the
right.
time, it was. I mean, I was thankful to have it. It was just another voiceover gig at the time. And then when I actually played the game, I was like, "Oh wow, this is different."
Yeah.
I can honestly say I have never been as emotionally invested in a video game character as I was in these characters.
Mm.
Uh, that scene when you're in that bar getting chased around and that guy's trying to kill Ellie and you're
Oh,
playing as
man.
Ellie.
Yeah.
I mean, my heart was because you've got such a connection with this character at this point in time. As you're playing it, you're like, I have to keep her alive. I have to keep her alive. I have to keep her alive. And I've never felt that kind of, as I said, that kind of attachment to a character.
Mm.
Now, I will say I was completely and totally surprised when they brought me back. Neil Druckmann called me and he said, "Hey, I'd love to sit down with you. We're going to be bringing your character back from The Last of Us." And I'm like, "What character?" I mean, the surgeon was almost a second thought because I wound up playing,
A few
a couple of
characters.
different
Yeah.
fireflies,
Yeah.
some security guards, whatever.
How
I mean, I was beyond
bizarre.
thankful. And then when
Man.
Neil brought me in, I'm like, why does he want to have a meeting? It's a tiny little part. And then he told me what they were planning on doing with the character, and it was like, oh, wow. Like I was blown away.
So
Number
he
one, I just
spoiled
thought,
everything to you right there and then.
oh
You
yeah,
knew.
they told me what the whole
Oh,
game
wow.
was at
So
that
did
point
you
in
have to
time and
sign an
what was gonna.
NDA?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
I had already signed back on to the game at that point in
Okay.
time. I had already signed my NDA, but he brought me in because he wanted to tell me what I was playing.
Yeah.
Because at this point in time, I'm playing a guy named Jerry. We don't know anything else about him. I would have known what the character was, I think, at this point in time, but I think he had to tell me what happened with Joel and what happened
Yeah.
regarding Abby and all that other stuff. And when
Wow.
he was telling this to me, I was just sitting there kind of flabbergasted. Like, number one, they're going to do this to Joel. I still think it's brilliant storytelling. When Neil and I discussed it and talked about it, what Neil was telling me, he told me a little bit of his background and the fact that, he's Israeli by birth and was born and raised in Israel and got to see firsthand a lot of the atrocities that have happened on both sides. in the Palestinian conflict, and wanted to talk basically about how an eye for an eye makes all of us blind. And that was kind of the concept behind The Last of Us 2. And when he was explaining it to me, I was just sitting there going, this is brilliant. This is brilliant. And the fact that I'm going to be the device that kind of sets all that in motion, it was like, I was thrilled to be a part of it and just excited to get to work on it.
When he's telling that to you, is there any hesitation in you or him about like the fan reception, what that's going to be? Or is that not, is that just an afterthought, or like, because it's a I mean, I really enjoyed the story, but it definitely did get some negative feedback across the
100%. And
yeah.
look, I can answer that, and I'm happy to talk about that, to be honest with you. When he was telling me this, I remember being shocked and thinking, oh my God, this is going to happen to Joel, but also thinking it's brilliant storytelling. If you remember correctly, the tail end of Last of Us, you're going in there and you literally just slaughter every single person that's a Firefly. I mean, you destroy everybody.
Well, I was going to ask you, when you played it, did you? I only killed your character. I didn't kill the other doctors. As I went at the end.
Yeah, you may not kill the other doctors, but you kill every single person that's in that facility.
Yeah.
Once they come out.
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. So from a storytelling standpoint, I'm going, dude, this is amazing. That's an amazing idea. Yeah, are people going to be shocked? Of course they're going to be shocked. That's okay. The thing that frustrates me and to this day pisses me off is that this was leaked and that people didn't have an opportunity. People didn't have an opportunity to play the game and actually play it and see how it plays out.
Yeah, I got spoiled.
They found out that these are major plot points that happen and made their decision on whether or not the game had any value based on that. If you want to play the game from beginning to end, and once it's over with, you want to tell me it's a piece of shit game, we can have that argument all day long. But I have no time to listen to or talk to anyone who did not play the game that has an opinion on it. And that's with anything. Look, man, I'm not going to watch a movie trailer and tell you that it's a shitty movie. I can't do that. I have to have seen the movie to tell you whether or not the movie's any good. And that's how I feel with The Last of Us 2. I know that there are a lot of people that were upset that Joel died. I'm upset that Joel died. I was a huge fan of Joel, but I also understand the plot device, and the device is a storytelling. And I think it's brilliant storytelling. And I 100% stand behind Neil Druckmann's choice and all of Naughty Dog's choice to make that game. I think it's a brilliant game.
Bold storytelling, and it's never been done in a game landscape where the antagonist is flipped by the end. Like, I don't know, you've played Last of Us 2 at this point?
Yes.
I was on Abby's side at the end. I couldn't believe it. I hated it at the start.
Hey, man, I'm Abby's father, and I don't even know at the end that I was on Abby's side, but I understood where Abby was coming from. And I feel like in life, and I don't want to get political, but I do feel like if we could just take 5 minutes on either side of the aisle in American politics and try for a minute to try and understand where the other side is coming from. Try to put yourself in somebody else's shoes. I think life would be a lot better. Life would be a lot easier. We'd probably agree on a lot more if we tried 5 minutes of empathy. And I think that that's, in some respects, what this game is asking for. And I think that's a bold thing. There's not a lot of video games out there that are trying to ask us to think. And this game asks you to think. So I stand behind it 100%. I think it's a brilliant game. I think it's brilliant storytelling. As I said before, I'm happy to have a conversation with someone who's played the game that doesn't like it. We can argue about that all day long. That's also the wonderful thing about art in general. And I would say that Last of Us is art. And there's very few video games that I would say that about, but this is a piece of art. And I think that with that, it's okay to have different opinions. It's okay to have different thoughts about what you think the game is and how you think it should have been done differently. That's okay. That's completely. What I don't like also on top of it is
death threats.
The death threats that I saw.
Disgusting.
The horrendous anti-Semitic comments made to Neil, death threats made to Laura Bailey. That shit, I got no time for that. No. Man. There's no place for that.
Did you ever speak to Neil or Laura about those death threats or anything, or they're very strong? I
Uh,
know that they're very strong people, but
they are. They're stronger than I am, to be honest with you. I think I would have. I think the fact that they took it and didn't respond, um, and when they did respond, they did it with such class. I don't think I would have been able to do that. Uh,
mm,
so I have the utmost respect for them. And the reality is, I wasn't getting that. I wasn't getting death threats. I'm not a big enough character in that game that people were coming after me. I had some derogatory comments made, people telling me that the game fucking sucks, you fucking suck, that kind of stuff.
mm.
But never had death threats, never had anyone saying anti-Semitic things to me. But the fact that they were doing that to Neil and to Laura, it pisses me off, and it makes me, as a co-star and employee of Naughty Dog, it upsets me, man. I want to stand up for these people because I've worked with them and I respect them as humans, and so that, I don't know.
Yeah, no. Troy
Anyway,
Baker said the same thing when I asked him. He said pretty much the exact same thing. So, I mean,
yeah,
if there's one thing to learn, it's that everyone a part of this game is like a family in a way, very supportive
yeah,
of each other, and everyone backed each other on the game, and that's why we get such a good product out of it, in my opinion.
yeah.
Um,
But that's the thing, man. Look, I'm all about people being adamant, and I'm all about people saying, if you hated the game, dude, I get it. That's okay. I'm not going to
yeah.
hate on you because you hated the game. You know, there's just a better way of going about it than death threats and all the other stuff. But hey, let's be positive, right?
No, and just one more on The Last of Us. I just want to know because in the first game, you have to shoot Jerry. I've
Yes.
tried not to, and you have to shoot him.
Yeah.
So like, surely he knew there was something going on. Like, why would he make the player, or was that just coincidence? Do you know? Did he ever
I
have?
don't know if I
Yeah,
don't know if long run they had that plan from the beginning. I don't think that they did.
yeah,
To be honest with you, if they did, they didn't tell me about it, and I didn't know about it.
mm,
Uh, I do think. I mean, look, the first game we're left with that moral conundrum. You know, Joel lies to Ellie at the very end and says, you know, they tried, but there
yeah,
was nothing they could do. You
yeah,
know, he doesn't tell her that he wound up pulling her out of there and killing all those people. Because I mean, we have that discussion in the second game where Ellie says, when Ellie does find out what actually happened, and she's pissed. She thinks that her job was to be the sacrifice, and Joel was incapable of allowing that to happen. You know,
mm,
so I think the game, even in the first one, you're dealing with these moral conundrums, these quandaries of what's right and what's wrong. I think that's why the game touched a chord the first time, and why I think it touches a chord the second time. If people are honest with themselves, I think if they remember what they really liked about the first game, is also that moral ambiguity.
Now I've got another couple more. Sorry about this game. I just love
No, it's
this
all good.
universe, man. Are you looking forward to the TV series on HBO?
I am, man.
Yeah.
And people have asked me if I'm a part of it. I haven't heard anything at this point in time. I'm crossing my fingers that my phone will call that they'll
Yeah.
call me at some point in time, because I know that they've used some of the actors from the game
Yeah.
at this point. Uh, I just would love to have an opportunity, even if it's not to play Jerry. And I don't even know if there will be a Jerry in this story. I don't know. I don't know the story they're telling. Um, I'd love to be a part of it. Obviously, it's one of the being a part of the Last of Us family has been one of the highlights of my career. So yeah, I'd love to be part of it.
HBO are usually pretty good, let's be honest, with TV
Yeah,
series.
you think they do pretty good work sometimes?
Yeah. And then the other one was do you think they're going to do Last of Us 3? Cuz I'm not sure now. That's a tough
I don't
one.
know. I don't know,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I don't know where we go from here. I'm
Mm.
not a writer, you know.
Cuz it does feel unfinished in a way. Like it does feel like there's one more story, but I just
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sure that there is. I mean, there's
Yeah.
plenty of story in that world. You know, because the world itself, that post-apocalyptic world in and of itself is fascinating. Now, I guess the ultimate question is if there is a Last of Us 3, is it Abby's story, is it Ellie's story, or is it either of their stories? You know, I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I guess we know the fate of your character. Sorry, mate. I
Yeah,
don't
we
know.
know what happened to me.
I don't. You never know. You might still be in it.
Yeah, and it's your fault, and it's all your listeners' fault too. It's all of our fault.